My name is Kathryn Falvo. I am a researcher at Penn State. I'm a graduate student in the dual degree program in History and Women's Studies. And I am writing a dissertation on vegetarianism in the United States. I'm working on the vegetarian movement in the United States, which runs from about 1817 to, well, the present. But for the purposes of my dissertation, I'm looking from about 1817 to 1860. And the movement as a whole was one in which people tried to use diet to talk about what the human body meant in those decades. They tried to use it as a way to reframe what people were and how people should act in relation to their food and in relation to other animals. The Historical Society of Pennsylvania has the records of the Bible Christian Society. And the Bible Christian Society was a group of people from England that came to Philadelphia and settled in 1817. And they were arguably the first major body of vegetarians in the United States. And so a lot of what my dissertation is going to do is going to base off of their original contributions to vegetarian discourse and vegetarian arguments, basing a lot of what I'm writing off of their conception of the body and then moving forward from there. Well, the records of the Bible Christian Society are pretty extensive. They kept really good track of their membership, they kept really good track of their meeting minutes, and one of the things that it's really difficult to do when doing vegetarian history is pick out who was a vegetarian. So unless they're actually writing about this in their journal, unless they're writing about this publicly and publishing it, it's very difficult to get a sense of people's own dietetic habits. But the Bible Christian Society's members were required to be vegetarian. So if I can do something like look at their meeting minutes or look at their roles and figure out who was part of this church, I have a better shot of tracking down some of those people and working under the assumption that they were vegetarian. This is a record of who joined the Bible Christian Society and when, and really helpfully it also has a date of when people started abstaining from alcohol and tobacco and meat. So it's like sort of an abstinence date that people can hark back to. So again, if I'm able to find family records of these people later, that's going to be a really helpful thing for me to say, this woman was vegetarian starting on this and such date. Not that she never would have broken that, but that it's a good place to start looking for records under the assumption that she was a vegetarian. Most of the women who are listed in this record aren't very vocal so far. Mm-hmm. There's been one from England, Martha Cook, who wrote her own cookbook that was vegetarian. So she's been standing out for me, but she's British. So I'd like to find someone American that is somewhat of the same realm. The reason for doing this project is twofold. One, it's a different aspect of women's labor, and I think it's a way to target women's labor that hasn't been done before, because it's a way of connecting ideology to cooking. But I also think that it's really important because the men who are extolling their virtues on this subject are writing about how they perceive the human body in relationship to the animal body. And this is a relationship that is articulated very differently in modern vegetarianism than it was in the 19th century. So they're saying things like, humans are too good to eat meat. Meat is dirty, it's disgusting, humans are clean, and we need to be pure. So there's a really interesting discourse about what a pure human body looks like. And it is, according to these reformers, male, fit, and white. And so it's a very clear way of making the human body hierarchical through diet that I find particularly interesting, and it's really fascinating for me to connect that piece of it, the ideological problem of what white men are advancing, to the day-to-day labor of what women are cooking.